2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
This is Dustin Wilson, I'm your host, and I'm gonna do some painting with you today. And today is one that I had painted myself a long time ago, and I loved it because it was just something that was, some people they would say was just fell in your head or fell in your lap or put in your spirit or whatever it was, but just maybe God inspired, I don't know, but I just know that it's something that I just found such a peaceful painting, and I really enjoyed it, and I kind of regret selling it. Actually, I think I gave it away, I'm not gonna lie. I think I gave it away. But I'm gonna paint this one, and so what we're gonna do for colors today, we're gonna keep it simple. We're into the greens, a couple different greens, yellow, orange, red, black, and white. And this should be a fun painting. And what I need to do is start by making a bit of a peach. So I'm going to add yellow into my orange, and I might have to add a little bit of white into there too, because I want a light peach. I don't want a little bit lighter peach. A little bit of orange and white together, and that little bit of yellow, and I'm hoping that I could color in this background. We're going to start with that. And I might have to go lighter than this, but this is a warm painting. I did this as a warm painting. I wanted to keep it nice and warm. So I'm painting just the background. It's just gonna be the area where it's just soft trees back there. It's not gonna be, some big dark forest. I did a forest one just before I did this one. It looked really nice. The sun shining through on a road that was going through a highway that was going through the forest, and I really enjoyed doing that one. But today I just really wanted to change it up a little bit. I love the forest scenes, but nothing like something with a peaceful little creek going through it. Not a big river, just a peaceful little creek. So what I'm going to do to keep that concept going through the painting is I'm going to keep a little bit of the water of the creek. It's going to have that kind of a peachy color in it. Orange, peach, whatever you see with your eyes. It doesn't have to be peach, it can be orange. It's just a warmer color. And when you start looking at this and you think, ugh, you're a bit brave to do that. But you know what? It's worth it. I'm gonna go even a little bit lighter. I just kind of feel like that's just a bit too dark. So I'm just adding a little bit of white to it. And it's just gonna soften that up. Again, if your paint is wet, you can get right in there and paint and fade and just add to your painting. Now, I'm doing acrylics for a reason. And again, I got my 100% $2 brush and my very cheap paints from our beautiful Dollarama. I think I might have one color from Michael's. Not a lot. And so here's the deal. I do that because I want everybody to be able to paint, know what I'm using, and know that you don't have to have $1,000 paintbrushes. Now, I'm not gonna lie. For my oil paints, I do have one set of paintbrushes that is from my favorite artist, Andrew Tischler, and he's out of New Zealand. And if you don't know who he is, I suggest you go check him out. His landscape, oh man, it's phenomenal what that guy does. So here's what I'm doing. I'm gonna kind of shape out a little bit lighter as I come down forward. I'm just gonna shape out really kind of how I want this water to flow through here, just zigzagging back and forth. And Get a little bit lighter as I go, add just a touch more white. Just a little more zigzag, I think, and then we're going to make it, yeah, we're going to turn it into a bit of a waterfall. And I'm going to add a little bit more color to it after. So we're going to round that off. Again, this is just your undercoat. This is just your colors that are going to make it so you know what you're doing. You're shaping out your painting. Not getting crazy yet. There's usually, I know there's probably so many different ways you can do a painting in stages and stuff like that. And again, the reason why I do acrylics, it dries fast. Oil paint, you know, it sometimes takes a few days, a little ways to dry up, and sometimes you don't have that much time, especially if you ever teach in a paint class. You'll find very quick that you have to have something that dries fast. If not, people can't take it home while it's, you know, it's not dry. So I think that's, yeah, I like that. I like where that's headed. I might pull this over to the right a little bit further. Let's see, pull it over. Yeah, just like that. Yeah. And then we'll do another one over here. That's what we want. Because we want to go right to the very edge with that. I might pull some land down there a little bit further. We'll see how it goes. But don't overthink it. Right now we're just shaping it in. So the first, you know, kind of step to everything is they'll call shaping or blocking. And it's just taking your shapes and it's just filling those in, especially if you're ever doing realism when it comes to portraits. When you're getting into that type of stuff, you don't want to start off trying to think you can do a whole bunch of detail. Man, if you start on the detail and you forget to do the proper structure of someone's face or something like that, then it might be a bit of a struggle later on. But I think we're okay with just blocking this in. And the reason why I'm leaving all that white is because I'm going to come in with some darks, so some blacks. And we're going to get some grass in there and make it look all nice. And so I think we're okay here with what we got. So I'm going to shape out just a little bit more. I want to bring it down and over. Just a touch more. And again, I can cover any of this up at any time. Now, there's one problem you just seen that does come with cheaper paint. Sometimes you get those little pieces that come out of it. Just old crusty paint that get dried, or sometimes, you know, you might let it dry yourself. It's just open too long and little chips of paint come on. Who cares? Remove them. No one's going to, it might just add layers to your painting. You know that? It might just add a layer to your painting. So you got nothing to even be worried about. But, so what we have here, I'm just going to pull this one camera up just a little bit so we can see it just a bit better, is we have the top of the painting to where we're going to put our background in, and this is where we're going to have our trees come back. So what we want to do is we want to make it look like it's way back there. Way back there. So how are we going to do that? We're going to take our peach, our wonderful peach color, and we're going to add just a touch. I might have did too much, maybe not. If I did, I'm going to add some white. So I'm adding just a touch of black into that orange. And then I'm adding a touch of white to lighten it up. Now, what I want is almost like a brown, a nice beigey brown. Maybe even a khaki, not a khaki, that's too yellowish. So I'm going to do two things. I'm going to do a little bit of a landscape. We'll pretend there's a hill way back there. But it only comes this far. And it's going to swing around because the waterfall is just going to whoosh, or that little river, or whatever we want it to be, or spring, or we just want it to be seen, right? So now, I'm hoping I can get this done before it's dry. Because if it dries, it kind of has like a peeled texture, and you don't want that. But watch. I just added a touch of water. And that's smoothing that right up. So if you get to that place where you feel like it's kind of pulling off and peeling off your brush, just go dip it in just a little bit of water. That'll soften that sucker right up. And then we're gonna pull it back. And I'll come in here and do some bushes and stuff like that. And I'm not too worried about this open area because guess what? We're gonna have some trees cover that, and it's gonna look really nice. So this side, we're gonna do the same thing, but we're gonna leave just that little way for that river to come through, or that stream to come through. River. I guess depends on what part of the world you live in. A little stream might be a river in some places. You know, that reminds me of a place out in BC. I don't know how many of you have been out to BC, but a lot of you should know at least what I'm talking about if you've been there, or at least maybe you've heard of it. I don't know. And there's a place called, by where I used to live, called Bella Coola. And if you haven't seen anything about Bella Coola, what I would suggest is go look up on YouTube or just Google it. If you can get online, just Google it. The Bella Coola Hill. And the reason I bring that up is because when you're on top of that thing and getting ready to go down into the valley, when you look at that from up top, you look way down and you see this nice little stream down there, and it's just a small little thing. And you know, you can even stop. I mean, there's not really many places to stop. It's a very, very steep, narrow. At least it was way back when I was there. It was narrow, and it was a dirt road, and so you would have to be leery of. First of all, it's a 17% grade down, as far as I recall. At least some spots seem to be, but regardless, it's steep. I'll just put it that way. And we used to have to really take our time and watch, because if vehicles were coming up, you'd have to kind of pull over to the edge or to the side as close as you can and spare yourself. I know semis, when they would go down there, they would have to take a load and drop half their load up top if there was a two trailer system. And they'd have to drop one off, go down to the bottom, drop it off, come back up and get the guy that was left up top. And so it was a steep hill, let's put it that way. And so what I'm getting at is, you know, this is it looks like a stream here, and to some people it can look like a river. But when I was up on top, I thought that was a stream down at the bottom. But when I got to the bottom, oh my word, that thing just opened up. And that was a huge river. And the deception of where was that? So I see here that I kind of got the land laid out how I want. Up here, again, I'm going to fill it up with trees and stuff like that. So I'm going to take just a touch more black, not very much, just a bit more, and make it just a hair darker than what is there. Now, I don't mind if it's dried already. Again, when you're painting and you want this to look good, make sure you paint left to right or keep with the flow of your painting. And get from edge to edge, because if you don't, you'll have those brush marks that you've pulled right off your canvas, right? You're pulling them right off your canvas, and you don't want to do that. You don't want to show that. You don't want little brush streaks or strokes on there. So I'm going to do a couple little trees. All I'm going to do is I'm going to push down harder as I get close to this area, and then I'm going to flare it out at the bottom. And because it's still dry or wet, I can kind of blend it out a little bit. I'm not too worried if it's too light right now. This is all background stuff. Don't want it to be very dark. We're going to put maybe another big one here. Maybe we'll do a really big one to go wide. This is just a super big tree. Again, I'm dealing with some of these little cruds. But that's good. It's not going to ruin my painting, I'll tell you that. Not too worried about it at all. So this is a bigger guy. Just gonna, again, flare out the bottom of that trunk. Those things need to take root, to be sturdy and strong. We're going to do another one that's going to come down just a little bit farther. Right there, maybe. Yeah. I'm happy with that. Right? So you can see we're starting to build something back there. Now, I'm going to go add just a touch more to that area, get it back up, make sure I got enough paint there. I'm liking what we got. I'm going to do one more, just a little bit darker here. One more. Again, this is just, it's background stuff, right? It's just so you know it's there. You might not even see it at the end, but at least you know it's there. So you know what your landscape looks like. I'm going to put a couple over here. Just a little bit bigger. You know, I think I was talking to my mother tonight, and we were talking about just painting ideas and stuff like that I've done over the years, and ones she's liked, and paint classes that she came to, but she never really painted. She was always busy helping other people, or, you know, my mom, our family loves to cook, so she was cooking, but we talked about just how these paintings just come together, and they look so good, but you go through so many of them that I forget sometimes how I've painted them, or because I don't keep mine. I'll be honest with you. If I kept these things, I would have a basement full of paintings just sitting there for the world not to see. So every time I do a painting, I give it away. And that's not to say my really detailed, fine stuff. But when I do a paint night or a paint class, I usually don't keep them. I usually hand them off to other people. So now that we got these established, we're going to do some light shrubbery. So I'm just jabbing my paintbrush into the tray. And we're just going to make those bristles nice and wide and ugly and all that sort. And we're just going to barely press on there. We don't want a lot of paint. It's just going to look like bushes back there. It's just going to follow a little bit of the creek bed. Sometimes you may need it around the trunk. Make it feel like there's grass there or something. Again, I'm not even hardly like adding any paint to that, and I'm just picking some spots that I want to, you know, stand out a little bit. Usually around those trunks is a nice place to do it. There's always little shrubbies or a few blades of grass coming up. Do it on that edge up there. Yeah, I kind of like that. Now, I feel like it needs to be some down around the bottom here a little more too. And we'll get in there and we'll add a little more. As we go, we decide what we want. Again, this is your painting. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. You don't have to copy me. I'm just trying to inspire you. Messaged a buddy from work today and told him I'm getting ready to, I'm in the process of videoing some of these paintings. And he was excited. He's like, you know, I absolutely loved watching your videos before, and he said it encouraged him to just believe that he could go do a painting and not have to worry about stressing out about if he's going to ruin it or anything like that. And he said you just made it so easy and so enjoyable to do and inspiring. And you know what? Like, that's the only thing I want to come from this. I want it to inspire people. I'm not trying to be no big YouTuber, nothing like that. I could care less about that stuff. I'm just trying to take the talent that I feel I was given and give it back. I love giving back. I've been so blessed in my life that it's always a time to return it to other people. I'm just going to do some softer stuff in there. I'm not going to go too crazy here because I want to save that for Later on, if we keep wasting time, we're not going to get very far, right? So this is all background stuff. You can take as much time on as you want. Fill it in. I'm just filling some extra little things in there. I'm okay with that. So before I get going too far, I want to come in here and clean my brush. Again, I'm okay with all that stuff. I don't feel that I need to add any more to it. I feel that it's enough where when I put everything else in there, the rest is just going to hide in there anyway. So I'm going to add, no, I feel like I need more room on my tray, but I don't have it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go through with my brush, pick a spot. I'm just going to add a little bit of white to my bristles. And I'm just going to slide. Don't get too fancy here. I'm just going to pick a spot and just kind of slide it and shape it. Pull it down. Looks like it's a bit of a waterfall there. Then you can do some squigglies left and right. Right? All right. Do some squiggles in there. Make it look like the water's moving. Right? Nothing fancy. Nothing fancy. I'm not doing nothing fancy. If you want to get super detailed, you could. Just let it pull off your brush. I'm not pushing on it at all. I'm just sitting it on there and just barely pulling it down. Then here I'm applying a little pressure in that spot because you want it to come off your brush a little bit more. Now I'm not going to get fancy here. Right now I'm just putting stuff in, just ideas of kind of maybe where I want some stuff. And I'm going to come back later and really fill in, because you don't want to do the highlights until last. That's what's going to stand out the most, right? And you know, if you feel that you did too much on your water, well, come back and put a little bit of color into it. I just added just a touch of brown, that orangish brown in there. I'll pull it up a little bit farther just in case it shows later on. Nothing crazy. I might take the liner brush and do small little details later, but I think I'm okay with that. So the only thing I want to do is I want to go back into that brown, and it's okay. I'm not having to wash my brush on this one. And I just want to pick some small spots. First of all, that I want that to come out a little bit here, maybe. Just a little bit more. Actually, you know what? I'm going to add the slightest bit of black to that. Make it almost a gray. And what we're going to do is I'm going to set some little stones in there. Some little stones in that river. I mean, you got to have some. And later on, I can go back and line that up. And sometimes you can marble it if you add a little bit of white to it. Maybe it's easier to add it all together when you do it like that, but it doesn't have to be fancy. Look at that, I got a few stones in there. Nothing crazy. Maybe there's a few rocks on the side, I don't know. Not gonna go too fancy right now. So, main reason I did that is so now I can start getting into the black and shaping this whole picture out up on the sides, okay? So what I wanna do first is figure out how many layers of ground I want. And I think I want this to come out, I'm going to cut it up here. I want to cut it up here, and I want to bring it down a little bit right to that edge. Okay, we're going to pull it back, come around here. So there's two parts that kind of come out. And that third part we shaped out. I really like that, so not quite as far as the other. And again, we're going to bring it around, and we'll put some rocks and stuff in that area, and we're just flowing, okay? We're just flowing. Just like the water's flowing, we're flowing. Now, I want to start filling it in. So, there's a lot of people that are just really scared of putting paint on their canvas. To me, I usually try and get a whole glob of it on there, and then I want to start just blending in, smoothing it up by moving it around that canvas while it's still wet. If you wait too long, again, it's going to dry, and we don't want that. We don't want that. That's not what we're looking for. So if you see brush marks in there, left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right. All the way across if you have to, from the edge to the edge. And that'll usually hide all those and keep it nice and smooth looking. So, I love the shape of things here, how it's coming out. Let's just fill it all in, and we'll shape once we get our grass going. Because I want to let that dry. So I may have to take a quick 5-minute break. We'll see how things go. I'm sure there's probably enough detail in there that I could fill in, move the time. Hey, if you're having troubles filling that in, all you got to do is start doing some circle motions. Circle motions. Circles, circles, circles. That'll fill those little voids in there. Now, if you're doing oil, sometimes you want to put gesso on there and you want to fill it in and make it so that it's already pre-ready to paint. And when you have that on there, it just makes all the other paint going on a lot smoother. Like I really could, and I might. I'm just going to add a little bit of water because I'm going over top of old dried paint. And look at it, comes off so much smoother. So much smoother. We want that to be perfect. All right. Pull it around, follow that. I made that there for a reason. Might bring it down a little bit further. Again, we're just shaping it however we want. It's your world. It's your world. I might even pull it up a little further yet, because it's my world. I do like it, but I just feel that I want more of this foreground stuff than I do the far background stuff. So now I'm going to load on the paint because we want to get this filled. You might think, oh, you're leaving a whole bunch of empty spots. You said to go left and right. Well, I did. But I said to go left and right once you got all the paint on. So now, again, shape it out a little more. Yeah, we'll take it right down. That's good. Doesn't have to be perfect, people. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I apologize if you hear sniffles. We've been in this crazy weather. Warm, cold, warm, cold, warm, cold. Rainy in the middle of winter. Like, what's up with that? And then go from there to I coach hockey. And I do it in 2 places. And so out in the cold, into the warmth. Out in the cold, into the warmth. But you see now that I got all the paint on? Now we go back and forth. Now we kind of shape it out. And if you want, you can even shape it like so you kind of see in your own eyes. The average viewer, I don't think you're going to be able to spot this, but if you know what you want to do is you can kind of shape out where you think you want your shapes of your hills to stand out. Now, I'm going back and forth a lot because I want that paint pulled off the canvas. I don't want a lot of paint on. I want it to dry fast. And if it doesn't dry fast, it's just not going to go on properly, right? So, back further, I could have went with a lighter gray and then a dark black. But I think with what I'm putting on, I'm going to shape it by how I color the grass. And I think that'll be a big key to all of this. So how you shape it's going to be by how you color the grass. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a 2-minute break. And I'm going to come right back. And this way, you guys know that it's dry and ready to go. So take your time, take your break, come back. Once it's dry, we'll be good to go. See you in a minute. sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I wish I had my blow dryer down here. I wish I had it. We're only halfway there, but we're over halfway there. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. Do this. I'm going to take it off and I'm going to fan it. Fanning it is a wonderful way to dry it faster. We're getting there. We're getting there. We're finding a way. We're almost there. Get rid of any of that shine, that glossiness. Can't be having that if we're going to try and put on grass. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. What's he doing? What's he doing? Should be enough. Yes, sir. All right, I think we're okay. I think we're okay. Enough that we can. Perfect. All right, my peeps. We are back. And it's dried enough that I can start something and get it going. Now, what I need to do is I need to wash my brush out because I totally forgot to before I took that quick little break. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly wash my brush. Hit it hard in the bottom of your water. I don't have proper tools like Bob Ross has to beat the devil out of it. But I think we'll be okay. All right, so here's what I want to do. We're going to get into some grass, and I want to do it by having the dark back further. So I just want a dark green. Now, I don't want just a normal green. I want black mixed into my green that I have here. I'm just mixing it together. I'm going to make it just a dark green. Just a forest green. Hey, there's a reason why they call it forest green, right? Because it's supposed to be, you know, foresty green. Now, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to start by, I'm going to try and get as much paint off the brush as possible for a second. And I'm going to stab it down in there till you get the ugly, weird, funky bristles, okay? Ugly, funky bristles. Now, that's pushing the paint up there, but yet it's leaving room for it to breathe. So I'm going to start on the back. Just over here, over here, over here, over here. Let's get her done. I'm going to just be tapping that on. I just want to make that brush just a bit thinner. If that's too dark, I might add. I like that green, but it's not. You know what? It's an undercolor, so we're going to be fine. Oh, excuse me. And again, I'm just adding to leave gaps because I want to come back over it with a little bit lighter green. So the best thing I find to do for grass is if you're doing one color green, that you want to stick with. Every time you layer it, just add a little more yellow or a little more white to it. Kind of keep that grass the same color but different shades, right? Because I find if you change it up, it just starts changing the texture of your painting, and it just doesn't always look as good as what you may want it to be. So actually, I just realized something that I want to do before we get too crazy here. And I gotta do it. I'm leaving a little gap there because I want some trees way back there as well. So here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna fill in a few areas. I'm not gonna go too far. And we're just giving the hint of grass back there. If this was oil paint, you could use your 2-inch brush like Ross does, and it'll fill it in super nice. But we don't have our access to that. We're just using these beautiful $2 brush. That's what we're doing. The $2 brush. And we're just filling in some areas. And I could always come back in later once it's dry and put in some trees. That's not even an issue at all. So I just want to kind of leave some spots where I think a tree should be, right? So we're going to come back up here, and I think I want a tree in this area. So I'm going to leave like a nice gap in there for a nice big tree. And then we're going to shape this, because I don't want it to just be straight across, right? Like if it's just straight across, then it's just not going to feel like the hill is flowing together. So again, I'm going to take the same shade, but add just a touch lighter of a different green, or you can use yellow or white. It doesn't matter. Whatever you do, keep the same concept as you go. And I'm going to do that next layer. Don't fill it all in. Leave room for it to breathe. Leave room for it to breathe. Now maybe you want to make this layer come down here to that edge. Perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. See how we got 2 different layers there? Back is a little bit darker. Light is a little bit brighter, and what that's doing is going to pull your painting forward, right? Again, I'm going to figure out, I might not do as, maybe I'm going to kind of do a little bit dark over here, and you can slowly fade it too. You can, as the light's hitting certain areas, maybe some areas are dark down further because of the tree coverage, right? I love when the bristles just somehow work in your favor and it looks like grass is sticking up from it. And that's what a, little technique will do. And I think after this part, I might throw a couple trees in there and then start filling in as we wish. This one's gonna have more different layers, maybe like that. I don't know. It's so nice. It just depends on how you wanna layer everything. It'll all just come together. So I'm gonna clean my brush real quick. And before I go back and do highlights of that green, and like I said, I'm not gonna do too many crazy highlights, but I'm gonna take black and a little bit of white, make it gray. Just gray. Because these trees here are just gray. I'm going to pull one down to there. Now, again, if you need some water on there, add some water and it's going to smoothen that out, make it a little bit softer. Okay? Again, flare that bottom trunk out. Flare that bottom trunk out. Do one over here. These guys can be a little bit bigger, but you still don't want them really dark and vivid with the colors and with the, you're just doing background trees. Those are nice. To those we can go and we can add a little bit of marble painting to them. You can go left to right. See? Look at that. Also doing a little bit of paint on the brush, left to right. Let it come off the brush yourself. Don't go too crazy. And just pick some spots where you want darker and lighter. See, look at that. Just add some texture to it. I didn't do nothing. I just sat my brush sideways. Now, the highlights, if they're on this side, I want to keep them on that left side. So I'll do the same thing from over here. So and again, you can start with a little bit brighter white. You don't even have to do white back here on this. You can just do gray and then do a darker gray. For me, I'm just doing, it's turning into a gray because that paint is still fresh on there. And then, if you really want, you can add just a touch of black in some spots. No, I don't even want to go. I'm just going to do a dark gray. See if I can do a little bit darker gray. No. 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 We'll see here. Yeah, there you go. Just like that bark's on that tree. Just like it. Now, if you really want to get technical, you could maybe go to a dark gray and just touch up the right side where the light isn't hitting. And just feel if we get too far into this stuff that is just going to take away from the foreground trees that we really need to focus on time-wise, right? We don't have lots of time, so we got to get on it. So we did these two trees. I'm going to do two more with that gray. I want to do one here because we put a spot there for it. So, I mean, you got to use the spot. And then I'm going to go over here and do this one because we put a spot there. It's going to be just a touch darker. That's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Again, you might have to add a little bit of water. That's fine. Not every tree is going to be tipping a little sideways. Some might, stand up a little taller than the others. Again, I'm going to do the highlights on the inside. I guess it'd be the outside. I'm just taking that brush and I'm just moving it left to right. And kind of the further over you go, if you're just tapping it like this, it's actually going to give the feel of changing colors just because you're not pulling the same paint over. And so I'm just adding just a little bit of lighter color, a little bit of white in it here and there. Some you can pull over a little bit further. Do the same thing on the other side on this guy. So start with your lighter color over against the edge, your white almost. And don't just fill the whole tree in. You want to do spots of the tree, parts of the tree. And the reason for that is because you want it to have realism. And if you just fill it in, it's just going to be a big blank tree. And again, I'm going to start with the second parts a little bit further. And then maybe just a touch of some black on one side. In some areas. You don't have to do all of it. You can maybe do a little bit down the tree. Figure out some spots that you really like that just need to stand out. Stuff like that. Don't get too crazy. You know what? Maybe get a little crazy with it. Just a little bit more. We're just about done for these things. I think they'll be okay. Okay, because those are background trees. We're okay with that. You know what? I just feel that I need to take a little bit of white on maybe the lower areas. because they're getting hit with the tree, with the light through the trees. Sorry, is what I was trying to say. And I want it to stand out a little bit more. And this will do some of the back edge there and just make it look like certain areas are getting hit with that light. We want that light to be almost like a beacon back there. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm really happy with that. Okay, so now I'm gonna go back into my green for a second. And we could throw maybe a couple more trees here at the end, but I'm not gonna focus on that right now. We gotta move along, and I wanna get this waterfall done. I wanna get the grass done. And so I'm gonna scooch on this grass and make sure we're in the right spot. And now that I have that painted up, I'm gonna go back and put some green in there again. So add a little bit more of that mixture together. It's fine if it's dark back there in some spots and light in others. A little bit lighter over here. See, when you start layering this, ooh, that's when she starts to pop. That's when she starts to pop. So the lighter colors you go, you know, I'm gonna make sure those bristles stand right out so we can get a proper feel off them. Maybe some areas are still dark, you know. Maybe I'll do a touch of yellow in one area, maybe just to add just a little bit more highlight to that spot, you know. Certain places get hit by light a little bit more. Over here, maybe we're gonna start to have a few spots that are getting hit by light. Maybe the light's coming through just a little bit low there. Maybe there's one spot up here. Yeah. Look at that. Oh, look at that. That's. I like it. I like where we're going with this. I like where we're going with this. That area needs a little more grass highlighted. Now, I'm going to go a little bit lighter with this next bit of grass. Because again, as I get forward, I want to go a little bit lighter each time. Maybe it's not going to be, yeah, it's a little bit lighter. We got to fill this guy in quick. Fill this guy in quick. And on here, we can even do lighter highlights than what we got, you know. And we'll fill a couple trees in at the end if we got time here. If not, get creative. Add your own trees. Add your own trees. I'm going to kind of just fill it in like that the rest of the way. I'm okay with that color the rest of the way. And we'll do some highlights on there and just tap away at it. Same thing on this side now. I'm going to start tapping away on it. I just want it to be filled in. And then we can fill in the rest after. Just leave those gaps though, right? Leave those gaps. If you don't have those gaps in there, you're not going to have your levels or your layers of paint, and it's just it's necessary. It is absolutely necessary now. I will reshape these after. Now you could really take your time and flex your bristles properly and make sure they're all focused in the same direction and all that stuff. But we're a little pressed for time. And I want to make sure that we get this done so you can see what we're doing, right? Again, look at all these different shades of green. I love that. I love all the different shades of green in there. And you know what we're gonna do? Down here, I might go a little bit darker, back again to what we had before. Maybe a little bit darker than that. Reason being is just because maybe the shade's hitting it. Maybe the shade's in this spot. And I'll go tap over top of that again with some lighter color. Don't fill it all in. I probably made a mistake there, but hey, no such thing as mistakes. Bob Ross told us. He said happy accidents, right? Happy accidents. Okay, I'm gonna go add some lighter paint now. A little bit of yellow in with that green. A little bit of yellow in that green. Now, if you feel that your paintbrush is just full of paint, just dry it off. Dry it off and tap it, push it like you are on the tray, and see if you can get those bristles to pop out in your paper towel or whatever you're using. And then come back into your paint. Let's start shaping this a little bit more. Where you want these highlights to go. I want these guys to shine. We're just about there. Okay. See, it's making those hills kind of roll. And we're getting there quick. We're moving fast. I know we're moving along fast here, but again, we gotta keep up to the speed of time. If we don't, then we're gonna get ourselves in trouble here and cut off the show too early. You only get to see a finished painting, and that's not what we're looking for. We want to make sure that you see what's going on here. Yeah, see, sometimes hear that bristle, those bristles just perfect. It just for what we need anyway, you know. Not everything needs to have the highlights. Maybe here it's a little bit brighter. Just around these edges. Maybe here's getting hit with a little more sun. I like what we got here. I'm pretty happy with that. So a little bit more, and then I think we'll get some trees in there. Just a couple trees. Actually, you know what? We'll do the water first, because in reality, even if we didn't have any more trees in here, I still like it. I still like what we got going on. Now, I'm gonna fade it down just a little bit by adding a little bit of that darker green. And you can go back in here for days if you want. So we're gonna quickly clean our brush. I'm gonna do something crazy. So crazy. I'm gonna add a little bit of white, gray and black together. And we're gonna start right here. We're just gonna start adding some rocks. Now maybe a little more black, who knows? There's a couple rocks. Maybe there's a big rock right there. A couple big rocks together. Okay. You keep it marbled. Don't get too crazy. Keep it marbled. If you keep it marbled, then guess what? It's gonna still look good. I'm gonna pull this down so make sure we can see with the other camera. See what we're doing here. Just rocks, maybe a couple rocks on the side. A couple rocks over here, we're okay with that. We want a couple rocks here for sure, because we want this water coming around here. And a couple more rocks at the bottom, yeah, why not? Why not? Yeah, I mean, we got room for more. We always got room for more. Make sure you get a little bit of white in there too. I guess if it doesn't happen, you know what? It's gonna be okay. But I want back here just a little bit darker. Smaller rocks. One back here. You know, a couple spots there. So here's what we're gonna do quickly, real quick. Wash our brush one more time. Clean it off really good as you're able. And we want to go straight white. Keep white on those edges. Remember how we did it earlier? Where all right now we're doing is we're going to go around those little rocks with our edge. Just around the bottom of those rocks. It's okay if you pull a little bit of the paint off. We're just trying to flatten those areas out too in front, just to make it look like it's smooth and the water's flowing around it. Just like that. Look at that. Hardly did anything here. Now we're going to make it look like it's coming around this edge, coming down through here. We're doing really good, you guys. We're doing good. Now, this area here is going to be a falls, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull it up on that ledge so I can really get and show you guys. We got a couple minutes left, and I want to show you guys for sure. We'll get a lot of that white out there. And just let it fall off your brush again. Just fall off your brush. Kind of go over some spots. This doesn't have to be fancy. But just let the brush do the work. Just let it come off your brush in some areas. Then you can fill it in, little spots like that. Don't go too crazy. Right? Don't go too crazy. If you need to keep layering that water, go for it. But just make it look like it's rounding itself. Coming down. Hitting this area. Hitting that area. You know? And then what we want to do is around the bottom of those rocks again. Right? Some squiggles in there. Now, I mean, you could put paint on your brush and you could flick it and make it look like water spraying around and getting all crazy. But we're going to keep it simple here. Now, I don't mind adding just a touch of, well, I'll just add a lot of white, I guess. You can do little swirls if you want, a couple little swirls. Just to make it look like it's going over those rocks a bit, right? Building up. Okay. And again, last little bits. We'll do it just like this. Really what you're doing is you're just getting that water to look like it's flowing down through there, right? Keep practicing this. Keep layering. And it's going to turn out so good, you're going to love it. A little bit more, and I think we're done. I mean, not that I want to be done. I want more time. Just pick some spots like that. That'll be okay for this, okay? So we got some water there. Let's just put in. Yeah, we got time for one big tree. Maybe two big trees. Let's do it. Straight black. Because our whole purpose of up here, we're going to put a big arm. Then we're going to put a big body. Oh yeah, it's going to come right down to the side, just like that. Perfect. Because we wanted to put some branches in there so we can hit it with some leaves. Again, a good way to do your, I'm going to pull this up just a little bit so you can see what's going on up here. And so what you want to do is you want your trunks of the branches, or when they connect to the trunk, sorry, you want them nice and wide. If the trunk is wider than the branch, I think you got issues. And we're going to do one more up here. I'm going to add just a touch of water to it. And then we're going to quickly, yeah, just like that. Beautiful. Just like that. Perfect. Nice big trunks. Okay. We're going to go back into our white. And we're going to hit it. Side that we need to. Pulling it over. It might go gray on you. Well, go back into that white. Or pull those grays just like that. And that'll be already your undercolor. And then you go back in with the white and hit those front edges. Let it pop. See, look at that. Just keep going into that white. Because you want to freshen up that white all the time, right? Always the edges. Keep on the same side. Looks good. One more. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come in with some quickly. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And we'll come in with just a bit of trees, branches, leaves, something. Then we'll end you on that note. I'm okay with that, you know? I'm okay with that. It's kind of cool how when you just do that second stroke, it just brings that shadow right in there. Then you can always add just a touch of black if you want that back shadow even darker. So I'm going to do, sorry, one more branch on this side. I don't want to fail you here. So now what we do, quickly, is how we go and do our grass. We're going to do the same thing with our leaves. Watch this. Undercolor. It's going to cover part of the branch. Right? So it's kind of marbled. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Put a little bit back here. We're just filling in a couple certain areas. And then over here, you know, even though we didn't finish quite that branch, maybe we just cover it up. We just want to hint that it's there. Right? Just a hint that it's there. And I'm going to cover some of this area back here. Now what I want to do is I want to go into a yellow. And I'm going to pick some spots that I want that yellow to hit on top of those branches. Because we want that yellow to kind of be the forefront of these. And you have to go across your trunk sometimes. I know a lot of people don't want to do that because they're scared, but it's like you have to. Got to give it the 3D look. It's just not going to work if you don't do it. See, I'm not covering it all up. I'm leaving some shaded parts there. Just picking some spots that are hit by the sun. Just picking some spots that are hit by the sun. Maybe we want to go crazy at the end here and just add just a touch of that red in there. Maybe give it some fall colors. Maybe, yeah. There's some branches in there that are fall colors. Look at that. That's fine. I think we both got ourselves a painting here. Look at that. I'm okay with the trees that we have in there. I do feel like I could use some more highlights, which is fine. Now I just need a touch more yellow because I messed up and went and used it all. There we go. Excuse me. I really like where we're at. I do feel like if I was doing a little more detail in the water, I feel like I would add some, I don't know if it's gray. You know, you want to just make it feel like it's flowing. I might use the big brush for that. Yep, use a big brush for that. I feel I'm failing in that area. I feel like I'm failing in that area, and I don't want to do that. All right, we're just going to make it a little more like there's some shadows in there. And I'll go back over it with white. All right. We're just giving it some dimension is what we're doing here. I don't want to go back too far. Not too much up there. Because when we go back over it now with white, what it should do is leave that kind of color underneath. Some of it, so you can just see through it. We could go really crazy if we wanted, but I think we're okay with this. Right. I need to touch more white. Actually, I might have a little bit here I can use. All right, yeah. Yes, sir. I contaminated it. I got black in there. And that wasn't my intention. So use what you got. Use what you got. That's a little bit better. Yeah, see? So I am going to add some fresh white. I just feel I need some fresh white. And this fresh white should pop it. Just that little bit that you need. Anywhere that you need it. And you can make some little circles here, like that's foaming up or been foaming up, or, you know. Pick some spots, you need some circles. Make sure it's white enough that it's seeable. Right? That's better. I'm okay with that. Right. Now add some more white to here. Because we got to cover those areas as well. Again, if it was oil paint, it would definitely go on a little bit smoother and a little bit easier, but we're not using that, are we? We're using acrylic. Because acrylic should be easy to use. And it is. I like where we're going with this. We're almost done here. We're almost done here. I kind of like that. Yep. And again, I could have done that background a little bit lighter. I could have pulled this out a little bit darker or whatever, but I think we're okay. And I'm just going to add a few more highlights on the leaves. Yes, sir. We're going to get some colors in there. Actually, we'll do some grass. Right? Just hit a couple certain areas. Gotta get in there with that yellow. See, look at that. Lights hitting certain areas. Just certain areas. Right? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. little spots. I think we're okay. I didn't get a chance to really fill some of these areas in. And I could have done another little tree maybe back there, but I think that's okay. I'm happy with that. We're good. We're golden. Golden goosens. Go back into the dark. We're good. We're good. Yeah, I like how that turned out. We're okay with that. We're okay with that. All right. Hope you enjoyed. Have yourself a great one. I gotta see if I can mix that up. Marble it up. Marble it up. Yeah, you can get really fancy with all that stuff, but I just don't think it's necessary with what we're doing here today. I don't think it's quite necessary with what we're doing. Reshape those rocks just a little bit. Go back in. Yes, sir. I'm okay with that. Like again, you could really get in there and you could really just like touch some stuff up and make it look like it's kind of spraying out a little bit. Like it's hitting those rocks hard. Get some suds and duds. Right. But is that the purpose of what we're getting at? Maybe it is. I don't know. You can go in there and you can throw flowers in there and all that stuff. You can really have fun with it, but I'm done. I know I keep saying that. I'm done. I'm done with this one. Are you though? Because you keep touching it, sir. You keep going back to it, sir. Keep going back to it, sir. There we go. Officially done. Officially done. Peace out, my peeps.